Hello, welcome to Swiss Watchmaker and welcome to another Watchmaker's interview. I'm very pleased to have him on the show today. We've been talking about this for a very long time. I've been observing his Instagram account from the far since not the beginning, but I would say 2 years ago for sure. Michiel Holthinrichs is today on the channel. Welcome, and I'm happy to have you here to explain your story and to showcase your beautiful watches finally on the channel.
Thank you very much. I've been looking forward to this. Yeah. I think you reached out to me once because you said my images were shit. and I needed to adjust the lighting, etc. And you actually showed me what was possible with change of lighting. So
yes.
After that chat, I immediately bought some stuff to get the lighting better. So
perfect. And the photography now is really good.
It's better, right?
Yes.
But I don't do it myself anymore.
That definitely improved. So tell also my audience, how did you come into watches? What triggered this passion for you?
Well, oh man, that's a long story. I thought we had 15 minutes, but no. So I actually, to put it short, I studied architecture, and I came into my second student house, and there was this guy, Roy, if he's ever watching. He showed me how shoes were made, good quality shoes, right? Yeah. And I love beautiful stuff. So like you collect stuff.
Yes.
And if it's beautifully made, you get fascinated by it, right? So I started to collect, to watch shoes, to how shoes are making. Then I started to collect clothing, and I thought I need to have a good watch with that. So I bought on eBay a pocket watch. It's nice.
Yes.
Bridge with the former video, but I bought it. I opened it. I didn't know the brand at the time. I opened it. I was like, bah.
Yeah.
Like
the whole world inside.
Yeah. It was an Omega from 1929. I still have it, and I will never sell it. And it was, I think, in 2008. I think so. And then from then on, I thought, okay, I need to know everything about this. I want to
you caught
learn
the bug,
watchmaking. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's basically the beginning. So I started collecting. I had a job in an architectural firm, and I had my college, how do you say that, funding, from the government. So everything I had, I put into watches, and I bought them broken from eBay, and then restored it.
Okay.
And suddenly I had more than 300 pieces. Yeah, it's insane for a student, right?
It goes quicker.
Yeah, and then I can recall in 2013 I had received just the last piece. I opened it and said, "Oh, that's nice," and I put it away. And I thought, "Oh, this is not healthy anymore."
Yeah.
So that was when I said, "Okay, I'm going to design a watch myself."
Okay. And voila, here we are. When did you officially launch the brand, or when did you start selling?
So. I had the ability to design a watch, and by that time I knew how a watch was constructed. But producing is a different story. So, and I live in the Netherlands. There's no production like precision engineering industry. So I basically had a design after a year, or half a year, and I went to producers saying, okay, basically, will you stop production and help me with a fun project? And everybody said no.
Yes. Or unless you give them $1 million.
No, not possible. So, but that same year, still 2013, the first house to be 3D printed in the world was launched in Amsterdam.
Okay.
So I thought 3D printing is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it might help me. So I actually reached out to producers of steel machines. There were only 3 at the time, steel printing machines, and via one producer from the UK, I came to a guy in Belgium, and he was nuts, and he said, okay, I want to help you. And then we started redesigning, and we had a first prototype which fell apart literally in 2014. And then in 2016 I graduated, and directly a few months after I launched the brand at my university, actually, because I thought the things were connected. So,
Interesting, impressive.
So, actually, this is now November, and the brand is 5 years old.
Wow, so, congratulations.
Thanks.
And the last 2 years, I would assume, were really the ones that took it off a bit?
Yeah, I think like it was, I started in my student studio, and every once in a while I invited somebody, but I really needed to be sure that I could trust that guy, because he literally comes in my studio, walks beside my bed, right? to see a watch. And so I thought when I left the studio, I thought I need to have an atelier.
Yeah, for
sure.
So
in the first 6 months, I put a bed in the back of my atelier because I couldn't afford a house with it. So, and so basically, that's in 2017. I hired my first atelier. I was working alone, and I think it was a struggle. You have to build a new brand, and also I didn't know anything about pricing. I just actually charged production costs. Right?
Yeah.
So
I remember. Yeah.
It was like
the good old days.
The good
for
old
buyers.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah.
But it's good for now as well, for the future.
But I think then last year actually was the year I thought this is going to be the year, right?
Yeah.
And then Corona came, so I thought, oh shit, not another difficult year. And actually, like halfway through, I got so many orders, and then at the end of last year, actually my girlfriend said, "It doesn't work anymore. You need to have more people." So
smart. Good things you said that. Last year was one of the best years for many brands.
It is.
Which was a surprise to all of us, actually.
Lots of independents, actually. I know they had super nice. Because I think people actually have the time to look behind the big brands now.
Mm-hmm. Plus, they didn't travel, so all the money they saved up, spent on watches, they were bored. Plus, they maybe, like you said, started actually researching about these brands.
Yeah.
And once you do, you cannot go to the mainstream brands anymore. I mean, it's getting difficult.
Some it's really difficult.
There's some exceptions, but you just skip everything that's below 15K, more or less.
Yeah.
So the first watches you created, which ones are there here on the table?
So the really first one, I keep in my safe. I don't have it here. But I'm here today with Van, and he bought a watch for me about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So some of the oldest pieces here are these two, and this is actually the one I sold to him.
Beautiful.
So this one is 2 years old, and there's a lot of, I've changed a lot since then, but I think this is still the archetype of what is the raw ornament. Mm-hmm. So it's a monotone finishing. I really like.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think what I like. My background is in architecture, so I started with the ornament one, which has a fully polished case because it's classical, it's timeless, right?
Is it like the one you have on the wrist?
Yeah, exactly. So this is full polished case, very classical design. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have calligraphy, so to say. It only has stripes because it's more timeless, stylistic, so to say. And I want this watch to be beautiful 50 years ago, but also in 50 years.
Yeah, right? I think you succeeded.
Well, thanks. So, but as it's how to say it's the archetype. Yeah. But I think coming from that, you have an Art Deco design. Mm-hmm. Coming from that, you have looking in architecture and also the process in architecture. You had Art Nouveau in the modernist styles, right? Art Nouveau, Art Deco. You have modernism. It's an overall term, but you had an architect called Le Corbusier. He's actually from, I think he's from Le Chaux-de-Fonds, but he lived in France, and he introduced a style which is called béton brut, and it means actually using the raw concrete to showcase the beauty of the process of the making and the intrinsic beauty of the material. So that's the idea behind this is horlogerie brut. I just introduced the name. It's a little bit posh, but I think it's nice because for me it's important to show how a watch is made, especially when you use 3D printing. Still many people don't understand it. Yeah. So I think it's nice that you have raw parts.
Of course. And how did you come to 3D printing? Basically, the first watch, was it a decision of shapes or pricing or a bit of everything? Yeah,
well, so I came with so I had the challenge of having it produced, and then via this manufacturer of machines, I came to this Belgian guy, and he taught me a lot about the possibilities of 3D printing and made me aware that there's much more, that actually the quality of the surface finish is less than, of course, in machine steel. And you can see beautifully here. This is raw printed with a machine part, and you can see the machine is shining bright already. So this is coarse.
And this case is
This is 36.
different size, right?
Yeah.
If we now put them
right, yeah.
together.
So this was actually introduced for a special job, like a special commission, but it's now standard. So
Yeah,
I think
it's a good size, huh?
It can fit some man's wrist,
Yeah.
and but also I think it would fit a woman's wrist.
Oh,
really
perfectly,
nice.
for sure.
Um,
It's good to have options as well,
well,
which
yeah.
you have with 3D Unlimited.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost, huh?
And well, that's the idea with 3D printing is that I came to the understanding that you had so much liberty of space.
Yeah.
So this is in front. It looks like a somewhat, especially this one, looks like a traditional watch. Although it has these openings here, which are a small suggestion of what happens on the side. And the side is actually skeletonized. So this watch
weighs nothing, huh?
No, it's like literally this watch with this strap is 40 grams.
Wow.
And it's steel. It's solid steel. But it's skeletonized.
And what's on the side of the case? You have your logo, your name?
So this is actually my signature, which is, it's also, if I were an architect, then my name would be the name of the architect, right? So
of course.
I'm the architect of the watch. So I put my name there. And between the lugs there is raw ornament. I think that's nice to have it in 3D also. It's integrated.
It is.
And you can have it customized. So about 50% of my clients.
And the quality is really good. Huh? Like I saw them online and I wasn't sure how much you actually have to cut out or polish or whatever. But when I see this now in person, I wouldn't think that it's 3D printed. And the design and the thinness of the case is remarkable. Huh?
Well, that's a fun thing. To say about the printing is that I often say to people, if I have €1 million to spend now on machines, I will not buy a 3D printer.
Okay.
Because it's such a difficult investment. You will spend €750,000 on the printer, or 500,000 if you have a cheap one, and then you have a nice thing, but in 2 years it's outdated because the technology is so rapidly
moves so
evolved.
quickly. Yeah.
So this piece, for example, it's the same case, but this is made in a newer technology and it has a little more precision. You won't notice it, but but that's also because of the manual finishing that goes inside.
Okay.
So there's a structural difference between this one, and this one had support structures during the printing, and this one hadn't.
Yeah.
So this one is actually already a little bit nicer coming from the printer.
So for those who don't know, support structures means if you have a case like this, and it prints maybe this direction, I don't know.
Yeah.
You would have like little, not bridges, but like structures, like you see when they're building a building.
Yeah.
So the shape gets printed, right? So it does, because if it's printing, it can't just print in air.
Yeah.
And then you have to chop off the supports, right? Like, because we have a 3D printer here in the office as well.
It's the same.
We chop off the supports and then we have to, you probably brush it or polish it off, but this has no support structures, which is remarkable. So this is the latest metal printing
technology, and so
beautiful.
It used to be printed in this direction, though.
Okay.
And then it had supports internally and on one side only, so it was less debris. So basically now they use a binder. It's called metal binder jetting also, and so the dust powders of the metal are binded together, and then it gets sintered. So then it melts together.
Sounds complicated.
It's well, during the process it's really fragile.
Yeah.
But the result is really nice, and you can actually, they introduce with this even more possibilities for design, because you don't have to think about the support structures anymore.
Of course, yeah.
So that's really nice, and I think, like for example, about the finishing, it doesn't matter which model it is. It takes a minimum 10 hours for the case only.
Wow.
And we tried several things of machining or machine polishing, and it never gets a satisfying result. So
plus you have a very specific case. It's not your typical round case. So I imagine just going between the lugs or also on the side here, you would need to have a lot of handwork here.
Yeah.
What kind of materials can you print so people understand really what the capabilities are, and also what are the cases here now?
Yeah. So the nice thing, I think, is metal printing offers actually already quite a variation in materials. But the obvious choice for me was to start with 316L, so stainless steel, because I still think it's the most beautiful material. Though nowadays we have like all kinds of exotic materials because it's possible. But I think eventually, in terms of finishing, in terms of shine, still steel is the nicest material. Also in terms of strength, right?
Yeah.
But you can print in stainless steel, various qualities. You can print in titanium, various qualities. Also, we're doing grade 5 type cases.
Okay.
And we can print in precious metals. So I've done watches in white gold, rose gold. I wear one.
That's the one you have.
And platinum. So I was the first one to print in platinum, actually.
Beautiful.
It took 2 years to develop the precious metal cases.
I hope it was worth it. Huh?
Yeah, it was worth it. Yeah, and well, you can feel it because this is so light. Obviously there's a movement spacer, but it's a solid thing. So therefore also it's really small. There's no separate bezel, for example.
And it's really thin as well.
Yeah, the case is less than 7 millimeters.
Yeah,
actually.
and this watch is mechanically powered.
Yeah.
So what's the movement inside most of these watches?
Good one. So I started out by the whole concept behind the ornament 1. The first one is to have a dress watch. I like clothing, as I told you.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yes.
And it has to fit underneath your cuff, right? Or,
has to be comfortable. Yeah.
It has to be comfortable and has to be stylish. I don't like shouty watches, so it has to be thin. With the printing, I could make it extra thin. It's a monocoque, actually, so to say. And as a student, I was looking at which movement to use. I wanted ultra thin. So the only movement actually to go for was the 7001. But how to obtain it, because ETA doesn't provide it.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so I actually started searching around, and over time, I came in contact with a guy who could provide me new old stock movements. So, and I think basically that's for the most people using this movement, they get it new old stock.
Yeah.
And actually, you see that the older versions are actually much nicer in finishing it. So, like the new ones just look cheaper also how it's processed. So, so that's the base movement, and now we make parts ourselves. But we still of course use the main plate. So when that was also an interesting story, because I started out with 3D printing, thinking it was nice. I could make single pieces, I could make bespoke pieces, but then it turned out that the finishing of the cases took so much time. Yeah, I just can't do a simple movement inside, right? So,
would be a shame to do it.
Yeah. So the first watches I did obviously had that, but it wasn't in balance. So that was actually a journey for us, and by now it's a team, right? So for us to venture into movement finishing, but also dial making. Especially also, I have always loved independence and the way how they put attention to every detail to a watch, or like most independents. So I really wanted to learn Anglage, for example. There's no course for that. It's not in the Netherlands. So I took, actually by now, it's years ago, I started practicing Anglage. And I think also you can see the process. And the one from Pawn is 2 years old. It has a frosted finish with the Anglage. And now we introduced, well, maybe it's more industrial look. So it has recessed surfaces. So the edge is actually embossed of the bridges, which gives it a nice contrasting finish. And then it also attracts more attention to the Anglage. So I really like this finishing.
No, it's beautiful.
We made the bridge, the gear bridge, out of actually optically 2 pieces, right? So because that's also nice in the vintage movements, like you have in your pocket watches, that you have multiple bridges. Yeah,
all separated.
It's beautiful.
I love that.
And it gives a nice rhythm to the movement.
So this is the latest movement we basically see here.
This is the new standard, so to say.
Gotcha. And the dial is also beautiful. This blue one.
So this is actually the raw ornament in a variation we make right now. So since I offer a lot of customization
Yes.
options, I got also lots of requests for what kind of colors. Or dots
Colors,
can you do.
numerals probably as well.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, over there. But the thing is, also following Horlogerie Bru, I don't like the use of paints, for example, because I have lots of vintage watches which have stains of fingerprints, like which maybe be visible in 50 years time only, but still it's not nice. So I actually only want to use pure materials. So to make variations in color, I had to use, for example, cases that oxidize to a certain color, or cases that are made of a different material. So we standardly had rhodium and gold, and this is titanium. So, but there was nobody to provide us titanium dials, so we asked around for sure. So we developed a dial which is actually made out of 3 layers. So it's very complex to make this dial, but we can add more depth.
Yeah.
And of course we can add applied numerals or the traditional layout like this. But you can, with titanium, you can galvanize it in blue, purple, green, all kinds
change the
of colors.
Huh?
And it will last.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing.
Also with the case, if you make a titanium case, you can blue it, right?
Yeah. Well, that's something for next year. No, but you're right. And
be sure to follow the Instagram, huh? So you don't miss out again.
You have to. It's something we're working on, and we're going to publish beginning of next year.
Perfect.
We'll get back to that.
We'll turn on those notifications.
Yeah. And reach out if you like. So.
Yes.
So following that idea of using raw materials, I actually wanted to introduce a thing which is like out of this world, like extreme for the extreme niche, right? Yeah. And I always loved bronze. It's a shitty material actually, but
looks nice.
It looks great, and it has like it's very soft, so it's not suitable for like a tool watch, right? Actually. Yeah. Although they make it for tool watches, but
the diver watches in bronze never made sense to me.
No, but the idea, of course, and that's also the idea of this, where I'm heading to, is that it adds the notion of like patina, right?
Yeah.
It's the notion of time. It's a romantic thing.
Yeah. Time passes, and then you can see it on the watch, basically.
I always loved ruins, like in my architecture, because a ruin shows something of history, but nature takes over.
Yeah.
And then it shows that the historical thing isn't needed anymore, like the function, and it gets more beauty because nature is spontaneous.
Yeah.
So
well said.
Yeah, it's still my most like fascinated.
So this is it,
So this is it. Yeah. It's just finished 2 days ago.
Yeah. So this is the exclusive first peek at this watch.
Yeah.
Please explain to us, what are we looking at here? The dial, I've never seen before.
No.
The movement also. So please.
Yes.
Introduce this beauty to the world.
Well, I'll have to show this case.
Yeah.
And also tell you that it's bronze, so it has stains already, right? So it's. I assembled it with a mask on.
Yeah. Because of COVID, right?
Yeah. I was sure it had COVID. So, but no, I was working in the evening on my own, which is like the best thing to do, actually. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah, I can relate.
You messaged me yesterday at 12 o'clock and you were still working. So, no, just to protect it a little bit from getting stains already. But I think that's also part of the watch itself. Like one is, the beauty is in the imperfection of the patina actually. So every dial is different, every case is different, every movement is different. Yeah. But the idea is that this is like of course, therefore also a diver often is made out of bronze. It's like you have the machine of Antica, right? It's bronze, which is falling into the sea 2,000 years ago, and somebody took it, and you find the treasure inside. So that's the idea behind this. It will patinate, it will be always different, and then if you turn the back, then the movement is like it's skeletonized, and it's copper plated.
Yeah.
So it will discolorize a little bit.
And then the inspiration comes from?
It's from a vintage Omega.
Vintage Omega. So
I did research on it because I wasn't sure if it was red gold or copper.
Yeah.
But I found a metallurgic report saying it was actually copper.
Oh, wow.
So I think copper is the way to go.
So the movement is skeletonized, beveled,
Yeah.
beautifully executed. Huh?
This is like 100 hours of work.
Yeah.
It has like the gear bridge itself has 13 inward angles. And
you went all in, huh?
man, well, it's nice to do. We work underneath a microscope. And,
you get carried away.
Yeah, it's actually, I have a window pane here. People walk by because I want to show the process.
Yeah, nice. We gotta come visit you. Yeah.
But if you look through the microscope, you're in a different world.
Yeah.
So, but it's also very frustrating because every failure you see, right?
Yeah. You just can't stop, probably.
Yeah.
There's always something more you can polish, probably.
The stress I had for this piece is that I finished it, but I saw an imperfection, so I had to redone it. So, but I knew I was also coming to you, so I was shaking putting.
Yeah,
this
we'll show it pretty close, pretty up close. Yeah.
Okay.
And what is the dial made out of? Because it also looks patinated, right?
Yeah. So why the story for the copper movement is bronze consists for about 90% of copper, and that also causes the oxidization turning to green, right?
Yeah.
So if I put this next to it, this is an extreme version we pre-patinated. Actually,
this was in the ocean for a few days.
This was in the ocean. Yeah. No, we actually, this is obviously forced patina.
Yeah.
We can deliver it with that. We have a process which is 3 times of patinating, which makes that the patina is really strong actually. But you can choose.
Yeah.
And the idea is actually to offer this also as a box set.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So you will have this one with a salmon color.
Oh, it's cool. Oh, salmon! People love salmon colored. So
it follows.
Be quick.
Yeah. So this is the same combination. That's the counterpart, right? This dial is actually pure copper, also pre-patinated and then brushed on the numerals, and it will always be different. And I think that's the nice thing because it delivers the spontaneity which I'm searching for.
For sure. Plus a beautiful finish on the whole dial.
The idea is to be very classical. Therefore, also the reggae numerals. So because of the patina, it has a classic notion. Leaf hands.
Yeah.
Both are our own designs.
Skeletonized, huh?
Skeletonized indeed, because that's the style of the brand and also the case, of course. And also with anglache again.
Yeah.
So the process of patinating this dial is actually the same as the case. So it's treated 3 times, so it's sturdy. But obviously also you can't have oxidization in the movement. So this one is treated, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And it's a sunburst finish in a way?
It has a sunburst it has a spiral on the sub-second. Very subtle.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be too obvious, I think. It should be like, you should be intrigued in different levels, right?
When you take the loop, you see a bit more. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Just good.
And then the sunburst comes from the subdial.
Yeah.
Because from the middle is just boring.
Yeah, true. True. Well, why not do something new? Huh? And
exactly.
I see the glass is also domed, huh? The sapphire glass.
So, I have to say, the sapphire could be an option, but I have to say my watches are assembled with acrylic.
Okay.
And on the back it's sapphire, just to know that it's not a thing of cost, but it's a thing of beauty. So I will have to take this one. So I was talking about the thin profile, and you can see here that of course it's skeletonized.
Yes.
I wanted to have a very slender timepiece. And with printing, I could make, actually based on the principles of watches from the 1960s, 70s, like front loader watches. It allowed me to put the dial and the movement from the front. You can see that the movement is smaller than the dial, which is obviously the case. But for that reason, I don't need a movement spacer. Yeah. And I I could make the cavity in the side. Okay. But the bezel is also integrated into the case.
Yes.
So the thinnest point is 0.4 millimeters between the exterior of the cavity and the inside of the crystal fitting.
No.
And
it's nothing.
no, so that's basically that's the thinnest I could go. Actually. Yeah. And for that reason, this watch, and this is the 36 obviously, is so thin. If I wanted to put a separate bezel, I needed to make a joint with a ceiling, etc., etc., and it would easily deliver me 1.5 millimeters thicker watch.
Yeah.
So I wanted an ultra thin profile, and therefore I use, because of the front layer, an acrylic crystal. I think it's also a very classical notion. Like if I would buy a Speedy, I would buy the old one, right?
Yes.
With the crystal, acrylic. So that's the actual reason. I do actually, because I get a lot of questions about it. So I can offer like a lifetime warranty on that, because I don't care actually. It's beauty in that sense. It's for me. This is a watch for me is a piece of art, and that's also what I want to emphasize with this bronze model. It's not. It's of course it's an instrument. It has to be an instrument. But this is all about all the details, but also the idea behind patina, the architecture, the materials, and it's looking for the edge of the acceptable, and that's what I find the most beautiful thing in my work. Actually. Yeah. It's like I can assemble. I did repairs also in the past, but it's just boring.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and since the first time I saw these watches, and I love lugs. Yeah. I know that this is something I really like, and I've seen like a teaser on your Instagram of a case which is gonna come. I hope soon.
I hope so
with
too.
special lugs. Haven't seen it yet in person, but hope I will one day. So, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you too.
What is next for you now for the future of the brand? Okay. You want to go into complications, or what's the goal?
Well, I think the goal is actually for me it's quite clear. First of all, on the company side, I just expanded to 6 people this year. Which
congratulations!
For me it's amazing. It's also challenging. Yeah. Because I have a different role now, and I need to find out that. But it's I have a very great team. And I can spend talking about that for an evening, right? But in terms of how the way we operate, I can imagine that we will grow, of course, but it will always be on the level that we will have direct contact with the customer.
The clients,
we can customize. We have very selective retailers, but in terms of design, I think the path is really clear. So it's going to be experimental, yet stylish.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I heard that's nice. We have a joke in the atelier, because once a guy said, "Simple yet complicated," and we thought
right.
that's funny, because it's actually this, right? So there's a lot of thought in design.
Yeah.
You can see it vaguely, but that one is going to be introduced in the beginning of next year. It has an extreme case and also an extreme idea behind the movement, and that's the direction we will head towards. So
okay.
And the series will be small, right? So
perfect. So again, be quick.
Yeah. So this is 10 pieces per year, for example.
Okay.
And it might change that next year we do a different dial, right? So you will always have a unique series.
Nice. And 10 pieces is not a lot, huh?
No, it's
to be
like,
honest.
No, but because if we say we do 1,000, let's say we have the clients for it, then it wouldn't be fun anymore.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And it's like I think an artist who is doing paintings, Rembrandt didn't do 20 Nachtwachten, you know? Yeah. So there's only one exceptional piece, and I think it will always be on that border. Of course, you have to do some series. Sometimes we do unique pieces, but it will always be a small series, because I also want to make sure that we can make it manually, right?
Yeah.
I want to have an atelier where people do anglaise and not production work. So
Of course.
That's actually the direction we're going to.
Good job and good to hear. And I think the future is bright for the brand and for you.
Thank you very much.
I'm really happy that it's growing this way because again, when I saw the watch for the first time, I hope that it's gonna survive for a long time, so we can see them more often and on more wrists.
It's spreading like an oil thing. It's it's the internet. It wouldn't be without the internet that people like like the independents would survive.
Yeah, and reach so many clients, right? Which is great.
I noticed that the watch community is a very intense, connected, and passionate group.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're from Singapore.
No. How old
US.
you are, how rich you are, doesn't matter.
No, that's great. That's really great.
I agree.
And you have to promise me that you will visit next year.
I have to, definitely. We catch a few beers as well.
Great.
So guys, listen, check out Holthinrichs Watches on Instagram and also the website. If you have some questions about the models and the pricing and the sizes, just reach out to them. I'm gonna also put all the links in the description below so you guys can check out their page and not have to worry about how to spell the name. Michiel, thank you for visiting me in Zurich. It was a pleasure, and I hope to see you soon in the Netherlands.
Thank you too. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. And guys, I'll see you next week for a new video.